Okay, this panel is called From Tradition to Legend. I will let our panelists introduce themselves in a short while. Alessandro Pasquale is the owner and executive president of Mattoni 1873 Group, and he's also very well known to the CEO and CFO Forum. And unfortunately, Arthur Gevorkian cannot be with us from Gevorkian. He is doing some CEO stuff today, so he had to pull out, which is a real shame, because if you ever want someone speaking candidly, he's probably the most honest person in the region. And of course, there's Corneliu Bodea, CEO of Adrem Energy Group. So just a brief preamble to this discussion. Mattoni 1873 expanded beverage group across Central Europe, completed a 90 million euro acquisition of Kinaz Milos regional consolidation strategy as part of its regional consolidation strategy. And you're balancing a heritage brand and brand identity with multinational scale. As for you, you're a public advocate for smart grids as the foundation of European energy competitiveness and energy transition, moving from policy to discussion to infrastructure execution. So, starting with you, Corneliu, please can you give our audience a brief introduction to who you are and your organization?
So, first of all, hello to everyone. Thank you very much for having me. That's a pleasure to be here. I'm for the first time in this conference. But I love this city, as I had the chance to work a lot in Prague with one of the most important energy groups in Europe, which is ČEZ. So I'm an entrepreneur. I know I look much younger, but I'm an entrepreneur since already 33 years. And I work for the last 20-something years in the energy sector exclusively. While at the beginning of the business, we work in different areas. As you know, Romania, like most of the companies from the Central and Eastern Europe, former communist countries, had this start in '89 with, entering the capitalistic world with crazy ideas. But actually, I must say that was one of the probably most, beautiful periods of our region, when we discovered capitalism, when we discovered freedom and free initiative. So after 33 years now, I'm a CEO and president of the board of an entrepreneurial company working in the energy sector, mostly in providing services and systems for the energy infrastructures. Like gas and electricity. We have about 1,600 employees in Romania, and we develop, projects almost exclusively in Romania for the energy infrastructure. In the same time, I'm member of the board of one of the biggest European association for energy companies named Eurelectric. And I also held other positions, but most not executive, but as member of board of think tanks or other things.
Just before we go to Alessandro, if you bear with me 1 minute, should we, as we know that there is an ongoing conflict in the Middle East and Iran specifically, and there is pressure on the European Union now, or there's pressure from the European Union now to relieve sanctions on Russia. Should we take Russian oil and gas?
No, probably not. I mean, it's too early to do that or to make this decision. That would be a very unfortunate decision. Actually, we should be more, recognizing more what we succeeded, because starting 2022, when we decided to get rid of all Russian gas, we managed to do that, the European Union, which is a great thing. We shouldn't go back.
Okay, there are some exemptions in the European Union, and I'm pretty close to one that still gets oil and gas from Russia. But anyway, I know this is not a political conference, but this is a geopolitical issue that's impacting everyone, so I brought it into the discussion. And now, Alessandro, if you've got an opinion about oil and gas, please feel free, but maybe a little bit more of introduction to Mattoni. We know each other well, and I'm glad to see you again.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Alessandro Pasquale. I'm executive president of Mattoni 1873. We are a beverage group active in Central and Southeast Europe, basically leading this region. We produce everything you can imagine non-alcoholic, and we are family business. Which means, if you ask why I'm here, I was just born in the right family. So that's my merit. But that comes, of course, with heritage responsibility. So it's not so simple because you have to be up to the people who were before you and try to be better, hopefully. So that's my goal in life. I'm a little bit jealous because I know all the question will go to my
No.
colleague here, because today energy is definitely the hottest topic. Actually, it would be nice if the lady who was speaking at the beginning, very interesting, I forgot the name, sorry.
Agnieszka.
Agnieszka, and she advised a book. We should send one in Washington, probably, to hopefully have a little bit more rational decision-making process there.
Staying with tradition a little bit here, I'm fortunate enough to work in Slovakia, or sometimes unfortunate enough to work in Slovakia, but you'll hear more about me later in the afternoon. I've noticed that there is a legacy-based environment, especially in Central Europe. In fact, I had Antonio Brazzale in one of my conferences, who manages a large dairy conglomerate here in the Czech Republic, also of Italian origin. And I see that there's a very top-down approach. In fact, it's very similar to the Middle East in many regards. And I know transition planning is often a hot topic in these conferences. How do you take legacy brand and make succession a viable option for the next generation? How do you relinquish the reins to the next generation? And what's your thinking in this regard?
Well, I recently was speaking at a conference in Italy about that for 1 hour full, so it's a pretty long.
We don't have that time, but
topic exactly. Well, I don't think there is a recipe. You always read books and get recipe. In my case, the transition briefly from my father was the opposite of what you would find in any book. I started to join him. And I started joining him in Prague, and basically what I was doing, sitting, listening, and the less I was speaking, the better it was. So after a couple of years of this approach, a CEO, one subsidiary left, and suddenly I became CEO, well, after 6 months of vacant place, because my father was at odds with the company. I became CEO of that company because I was the only one willing to do that. So very erratic and unstructured process, but finally it worked very well. So I don't advise anybody to do as we did, but I don't think it's recipe for succession. But what really makes a difference in our family is that I really wanted. So I mean, it was genuine desire from my side to continue what my father did, and to bring forward something which will leave a sign from our family, and also the perception that I was lucky, as I said, I inherited, which means my duty in life is just to give the same opportunity to my kids. So I'm here to do basically this, to preserve and develop the business, to see if in 10 years my kids eventually are interested in it.
I'll come back to your kids because this is going to be an interesting topic. I want to pick up something Agnieszka says. I think if I read somewhere, we as humans absorb 74 gigabytes of information every day, especially in the prefrontal cortex, if I'm not mistaken, and in executive leaders even more. You're both leaders in your organizations. You have P&Ls to look after, you've got payroll to look after, you've got thousands of employees to look after. How do you manage the pressure of those decisions? We'll start with you.
I mean, it's a bit probably easier for me because I'm a CEO and an entrepreneur. but I'm doing almost the same thing since 30 years. Yeah. Of course, the business evolved and grew. Now we are, as I have already mentioned, more than 1,600 people in the company, and we started from me and my brother. We are also a family company, and it is definitely good and bad to have such a long experience. Also, because I will refer also to what Agnieszka said, and that was a great speech. Staying so long in a business, you tend to have a lot of biases. You believe you met the situation several times, and you enter that automation phase where you believe that the situation is the same, and you tend to not to pay so much attention to details sometimes, and you have to fight against that. And honestly, sometimes it happens that you meet the same type of situation and your experience is helping you, but sometimes you meet a completely different situation and you have to pay more attention. But I learned this in a similar way via a big crisis where we this is a kind of cycle. I believe entrepreneurial business.
Do you require a crisis to define your leadership?
Definitely, and that is.
Tony, you're in good company.
Yeah, that's right. I was very sympathetic to what Tony said, and I congratulate him, and I believe I understand him very well, because we had reached a phase where I stayed with the insolvency paper in my drawer for a couple of months, with the banks, coming every day and pushing me for insolvency due to a bad decision to invest into a power plant. Then that turned to, and my learning from that, it might not have anything to do with your question, but my learning for that is that the first thing is that you try to blame others. You go into blaming others, the situation or what happens, in the crisis, in the moment, or your customer or the bank. But for an entrepreneur and a CEO, it's always you that you have to blame, because it's your decision. I mean, if you could have taken a different decision and you didn't, that's your fault. And this is a process where
the buck stops with you.
That's right. So that's why I believe it's difficult and easier for a person like me that is doing more or less the same things since more than 30 years. It's both difficult, because you process, you have this confirmation biases, but or automation problem, but it's also easier, because sometimes, and not sometimes, you build in yourself certain capabilities, and this is obviously helping you.
And Alessandro, I mentioned that you have thousands of employees as well. There's P&Ls, there's people, you have the human element. People always forget the human element of running a company. Everybody needs to put food on their table. People need to go on holidays. People need a mortgage, and you're responsible for a whole bunch of people. That increases the amount of pressure. As a CEO, how do you absorb that pressure? And what are your tips to the next generation of CEOs to help manage that? Because at the end of the day, a business is business. The business part is always fun. The people part is always complicated.
I agree. I mean, the hardest things for me in business is to fire someone. I mean, that for me is always a nightmare, something I hate to do it, and it's a trauma. Yeah, I mean, if you're not masochist, you don't do the CEO.
Yeah,
that's a characteristic. I mean, you like to suffer, and of course, yeah, the biggest responsibility you bear is the people you employ. But that's a nice sentence. Yeah, everybody say that. If you really feel it, then your way of running the business is also characterized by this responsibility approach, and it goes through the organization. So your organization become a healthy organization because you care about the people, but you really care. You just don't repeat. You not just state
Sure.
that. Everybody state that. But if you really care, that's helped a lot to share the organization, to share the mentality, and therefore it improved then finally your relation with your people because you have good people. Because people attract same kind of people. So I think yes.
So you cherish that responsibility.
Well, I mean, I think it's feeling it and suffering it is one of the ingredient of success, and ingredient also to enjoy the business, because you attract the good people if you really care about them.
100% agree with you. In fact, I'm not listened to at home, and I'm not listened to at work as well. So I'm not a CEO at home, and I'm not a CEO in the house as well. So I'm ritualistically ignored everywhere. I want a show of hands here. Has anyone ever resigned from a senior position because they couldn't handle the pressure? Anyone? No one. Okay, I'm the only one here. I took an active decision in a previous role to resign because I enjoyed the business more than I enjoyed the management. So I didn't want to do payroll. I didn't want to do P&L. I didn't want to do financial planning. I just wanted to do the business. Is there any shame in that? How many people will be willing to resign a role to... We have here Timu. Can we bring him a mic?
We're always looking for good people, so anybody wants to change.
Yeah.
You can refer to me.
Yes, if you're looking
Please.
anyway, if you're looking for jobs, you can speak to the EBCG team, I'm sure.
Yeah, I just want to say that I resigned from the huge corporate CEO position just because of politics. Yeah, I left a big amount of money on the table, and I said, okay, I'm not for politics. Start my own company, living a dream.
But Timu, was that internal politics or was that politics of
Internal corporate
Okay.
politics?
So politics obviously is a necessary evil.
And that's a pressure also.
And pressure. Okay, so politics is a necessary evil in any environment. But the discussion about the framework of our discussion today is from tradition to legend. So, okay, I'll ask another show of hands. Has anyone seen the show Succession? It's a pretty good show, Succession. Have you seen the show Succession with, no, it's about family planning in the next generation. And Alessandro mentioned hopefully his kids will take an interest in his business and inherit a legacy. Now, one of the things that I've seen in Central Europe is there's a lot of legacy-based industry, and I don't necessarily think that's a good thing. Would either of you be happy not to pass the buck to your family?
Look, that's I will start. It's a bit difficult for me because I have my son in the room here, so
You're not hired.
He might be upset on me, but you know, we are two brothers in the business now. It's a family company, and he has 3 kids. I have 2 kids, so we're kind of having 5 to follow. But I totally agree with you. I see a lot of pressure in the Romania. First of all, I believe that for all Central and Eastern Europe, that's a critical moment now, succession, because most of the entrepreneurs are my age or older, like around 60 to 70, they look for retirement. And they have this problem. They have built, some of them, nice companies, strong companies, and they have to do this transformation. And in my opinion, and in our family opinion, that's the way will not be to force some of our kids, one or all of them, somehow to step into the executive. So we are looking a lot to what is the family office side of the you know, legacy and heritage, while executive business would be executive management would be a different topic, you know. So what we are looking now in this moment, we have a minor shareholder, a fund stepping in the company. We are looking to an IPO soon, and we structure the family office. So we believe we will stay long-term in the business, like shareholders, maybe majority or, you know, minority stakeholders, but important stake. And the family will look after the interest of the family and will continue investments. While the executive management of the company will be performed by executive and by specialists.
Alessandro?
So it's very difficult because I think that the judgment capacity of a parent is not the best towards his kids. Either too strict or too generous is very difficult. Of course, it's necessary, as I said, someone really needs to want it, to feel it, to desire it. But then is someone capable
Yep.
to run the business? This is very difficult to judge, and there's a lot of selfishness, I say, by the point of your family there, because you would like your family to continue. Of course, why not? This is so nice, the idea.
But there's protectionism in there as well.
Well, yes, but at the end, you're putting at risk what we were saying before, the people, the heritage, the business. You're handing over to someone who can fuck it up.
Yeah.
So.
But someone could also make it better.
Of course, I pretend I did that, but hopefully, but you don't know before. So yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky because I know a big entrepreneur in Czech, and he said, "No way, no one of the family will ever run the business. Will be only professional in the future after me. My kids will receive from the company." Something like a multiple of what they will earn doing something else. So that's the way how we solve the family. It's quite smart, but I don't like it. I would like my kids, my nephew, and so on, to keep on running and developing the business, because we are entrepreneurs. I don't know how many generations in this business, 3, but before that, my family has always been entrepreneurial, and I would like that to continue. But to really identify who, that's not easy.
And you're right there. Donald Trump said in one of his many rants that Europe is dead. We don't need Europe. They're old school and they're dying, and they're not involved in technology. Excuse my American accent to anyone here who's American. I haven't culturally appropriated, I promise. And he did say something that resonated with me, that Europe is at an inflection point. And again, it goes back to this young generation. Now, I heard Tony's story. I don't think I could have gone through that Christmas at all. 72 hours of pain. It was a miracle that Christmas and Boxing Day were consecutive. If you'd have been lucky, there would have been a Sunday and a Saturday as well to give you an even more of an extension. I don't think the young generation, and I'm sorry, I can't speak for your son, Corneliu, I'm not sure the young generation are ready to shoulder the burden of entrepreneurialism. Now, this goes into the cognitive element of entrepreneur mindset. How do you pass on entrepreneur mindset to the next generation? Or is it born?
I don't think it's born. I don't believe you are born with this, it's definitely a mixture between, nurture and nature. Definitely you need specific traits.
Are you more strict on your son than you are other employees?
What do you think? I don't think so. My main scope to my 2 kids was not to put pressure on them, that they would feel responsible to take over the business. I would like them to be able to choose. And so he's an architect. My daughter is an actress. So, they do kind of, their passion probably. I would like them to be involved in what means, to manage the assets of the family and to take care of their assets, but not to pressure them to be, executives. I believe that, and that's one thing. The other thing is, I didn't have I had a beautiful life, and hopefully it will continue. But that was not easy. That was not easy. And I had to renounce and to make difficult decisions related to my life. And I don't really like them to be forced to take the same path. I believe that being an entrepreneur first and also an executive it's a very tough thing. And I would like to give them the chance to choose and do what they really want. But I don't believe that this generation is weaker.
You don't?
Generation. No, I don't believe so. It is something which take cares with this, say that, good times make weak leaders, and that makes difficult times, which makes strong leaders. This might be a certain...
But Corneliu, in your instance, you saw the collapse of communism, you saw the advent of capitalism, and your son may have seen the beach in Dubai. There is a polar opposite here. You've had to fight, and I don't know you, so I'm not judging. I'm just using this as an example. I'm of the opinion, and I live and work in Central Slovakia, and in Central Europe, and I see that there are younger generations who are expected to be given everything on a silver spoon, surfing on the coattails of the sacrifices of their families or people in their family. Are they equipped to deal with that? The hardships that you have undergone, the pain that you have seen, and I'm not saying everybody needs, we've all agreed that you need a crisis to define leadership, but I'm not sure I'm in that camp. But do you think, and this is where I'm not sure that the younger generation are equipped to deal with this kind of adversity?
I wouldn't generalize, I would say I would give my example with my kids, both Andre and Anna, he decided to become an architect and he worked a lot. This is a very difficult university to get in. Then you have 6 years to work in the university, and he did that. And he's working now, and he's very serious, and he never been to Dubai, I don't know, unfortunately, maybe. And my daughter went at 14 years old to Russia in Bolshoi to do ballet.
Amazing.
So she stayed there, not alone, but also alone for 4 years, between 14 and 18 years. And ballet school in Russia, believe me, it's something not easy. Then she came back and she decided to become an actress, and she went to the university. And so there are examples of people, probably education, probably what they saw in me and their mother, but I wouldn't generalize. I believe history shows us that generations are better than the previous. This is history showing us. We might have now this...
Well, actually, I want to correct you there. From what I understand, that our children's generation will be the worst off generation in the history of... It's the only generation in the history of evolution that our children are going to have to work beyond retirement age, 1.8%, and will earn 3 or 4 points less than our generation. So we're giving them a shitty world. And again, a lot of geopolitical elements are impacting that. We have COVID, we have war, 130 active conflicts right now in the world. So we're really in a dark place, and that doesn't help the younger generation. I'm concerned that perhaps you're right. I am generalizing. Your children are an exception, I think, to the rule, because they've done extremely well with the hardship. But you see this?
First, Trump. Well, have you seen U.S. youngster? Are they better than our?
Sorry?
Do you think U.S. youngster are better than our? That U.S. teenager, have you ever seen them?
I have.
Frankly, I have.
Alessandro, I'm going to disagree with you. In America, you're told you grow up and you're told you can do anything you want. Same in the UK. That's not the same in Europe.
The strength of America is that they were attracting the talented people from around the world. In this way, Trump is making us a big service. Is rejecting them. So now, what is the problem of Europe is not the youngster, it is the situation in which we are. We are neither, we say in Italian, neither fish, neither meat. We are not united. I mean, it's a regulatory problem Europe has, because we have the biggest market. We have the brightest mind. We have more or less good education. We have everything. Just we got stuck in the middle of the river with this.
Alessandro,
that's the problem. It's not
the 444 million people in Europe. It's not the biggest market. Asia is a much bigger market. India and China
is 2 times US.
Yeah.
And US is #1 in the world. So frankly, we do have
only in defense spending. US is only #1 in the world in defense
and
spending.
tech, etc. So come on, I mean, it's the only seriously growing economy at the moment. For what and how this is healthy, it's another discussion. But this, we are talking about Trump saying that we are dead, and it seems that you were endorsing that. I don't. We are not dead. I'm happy to be in Europe, even more happy now, frankly. And I was speaking about someone, private equity, they're buying big stuff, they have to sell pieces of it, and they say, well, emerging markets, nobody wants them anymore. I don't want to be in Russia. I don't want to be in the US. I don't even want to go there. I've been invited for conference, or I don't want to go. I just to go in front of the custom and will they deport me just because maybe I say something wrong? I forget, they can stay there. I'm happy to stay in Europe. We have just to take our responsibility and move this Europe forward. Europe has everything to succeed. It's not that. Our kids are good. Just we have to allow them to develop in an healthy environment, give them the possibility. As regards the next generation, as regards me, first, there is not one CEO style. So the first thing is to allow the next generation to be as it is. I believe, I know the strength of Europe is family business. Family business is best. I dealt with a lot of multinational. I don't very much appreciate the big corporate environment. I'm a multinational also, but we try to remain true to our value. And the strength of family business is family value. You treat your business as you treat your family, with the same value, which doesn't mean that, this is very important, doesn't mean that you have to, something that your grandfather wrote in stone that stays forever. This is fucking boring. No, it's your family. It would be, my kids will have family. They will have their own family value that might be different from mine. But as long as they apply those values to their entrepreneurial life, I believe that will be successful. And the pressure, I mean, I made kids hoping that they will be ready to support the pressure, that they will stand up when it's difficult, that they will fight when it's necessary to fight. I mean, if we want to, I won't kill them. I will not tell them that I'm disappointed, but I will. I really hope, and I try to grow up my kids with sound value, with determination, with ambition, not because they have to be richer than somebody else or famous, but because this is how I would love my kids to be. I would love to stand for their idea. I would love them to fight. I would love them to be ambitious and to try hard what they like, not to play video games and stay at the beach. If they will, okay, good for them. They're lucky. They will have a lot of money to do that. But that's not the target of my education. I was very bad at studying at university. I didn't graduate. But I received a very solid education in the family. And one day I said, okay, enough is enough. I enjoy my life so far, and now it's time to be serious. And then really, not in one day, but in 1 week, I changed my life. I took over my responsibility. And since then, I acted accordingly. And this doesn't come from anywhere. It comes from the values, education, and example I received from my parents. So I hope my kids will do the same, and I really hope that. And not necessarily in my business, in anything else, but it's no difference. Someone else's business always look better. My father was told me, our business is difficult, maybe you should sell and do something else. Yeah, of course, something else always look easier until you don't do it. So whatever you do is difficult, is tough, is pressure, but I hope they will. I hope they will. And the only, sorry for being so long, and the only things that is important, you said, I didn't want to do things I don't like. Exactly. The big mistake of our society is that you are supposed to do the things you don't like, because that's serious. We are at school, it could do better in math. It's fantastic in that, but in math it's not good, or vice versa, in English or in Latin, Italian school. who care. We are not a society who prioritize your quality. You are forced to do the things you're not good to do. You are not very good in. That's what we are told since we are kids. My turning point in life was one day I decided, sorry, I won't do the things I don't like. I will not do the things I'm not good at. I will find someone else to do it, and I will just do the things I like, and I will just do the things I'm good at. And the other things someone else will do. I'm very good in strategy, I'm very good in analyzing, I'm very good in problem solving, I'm terrible in execution. Give me something to do, it would be disaster. But let me tell others how to do things, I was perfect. So we have to understand, we have to let our kids understand, I don't care if you have a bad vote in this subject, or if you don't finish the university, just be good at what you're good. Focus on where your quality bring you, and you will be somebody.
Okay, and I think that's a very good place to pick up some questions from the Slido, and then I also will get a microphone into the audience. So please have some questions ready in the audience as well. I'm sure we've had some heated debate. Radu has posted this great question here. Peter Drucker said, "Leadership is a practice, not a personality. Isn't leadership a deeply personal journey that each next generation must develop for itself?" I think we've kind of answered that, but what is your opinion on that? Let's start with you, Corneliu.
Yeah, who am I to
argue with Peter Drucker?
Argue with, yeah. But I tend to agree. I mean, I am a type of person which, does what has to be done, So things that I like or things that I don't like, I have to do that, I'll do it. Of course, that in some things I'm better, in some I'm not so good, so I get support. But I think it's a matter of practice and some of personality, especially when we talk about entrepreneurial approach. When we talk about managerial activity, it's probably, yes, I agree. But when you come to entrepreneurs, they don't ever stop. Probably while they are in a deep sleep mode, they can say that they are, just washing the brain. But usually they are always on. So that's why you need a specific personality in order to sustain that on long term.
Your opinion?
I think it's DNA.
You think it's DNA?
I absolutely think it's
awesome.
DNA.
Inherited?
Well, inherited, or I guess know from which ancestor, yes, because in my experience, I realized that when I was maybe at school and there was a working group, I was ending up leading it. Even if I didn't want. If it gets stuck, then I was the one try to put it, and I was not a good student. That's why. But still, I think leadership is innate in the people, to be leader.
Agnieszka, is that true? Thank you. And one of the questions, and Agnieszka mentioned empathy in one of her slides, and I think it was the limbic, or I can't remember, the limbic brain, and emotional intelligence is more prevalent in women. I wasn't being sexist, but it's definitely more prevalent in women, and empathy and all of these qualities. And I host these events all around the region, and we don't see enough women CEOs. We don't see enough women chairmen. We don't see enough women in executive leadership. And this isn't a transition panel. This isn't I'm not making this a point about gender inequality, but would we benefit from more females in executive leadership to make decisions? Or do you think that men make more, and I saw a study, that more impulsive decisions and bigger risk-based decisions are easier for men because their risk assessment models are less developed, and women will have to have a steering committee and check with 14, 15 different people, but a CEO can make that decision on the cusp. A male CEO can make that decision on the cusp. How would you like to see the evolution of women in executive leadership positions in Europe, and perhaps even in your own legacy?
Yeah, I believe this is obvious that we should see more women in executive positions. And I believe at least there are no, my personal belief is that women can be better in some positions than men, definitely, executive position, and brings advantages. But at least we can consider that there is no difference between men and, I mean, there are differences, but in capability of managing a company. And it is obvious, in my opinion, that what we have now, so less women in the executive position, it's a matter of history, and we should change this. That's why I am very into accepting this, what is called the positive discrimination. Not
What do
in
we
a-
feel about quotas? Hands up if we like quotas, hands down if we don't. Quotas, positive discrimination. Hands up if we approve of positive discrimination. Even the expression sounds bad.
I think it sounds. I don't think it sounds bad. I think it's right.
It's
because
actually an
it's a
oxymoron.
discrimination, but it's a positive one because we understood we have something wrong and we have to correct it.
Alessandro?
Well, I think that, I mean, we're talking about individuals, individuals have qualities, and to have certain function, you need some of those qualities. Can be different because, as I said, there is no one style of CEO, there is no one style of executive, but you need certain quality. This is obvious. Then, if men or women is irrelevant. But is there more women or more men having those qualities? I frankly don't know. I don't believe, well, there are statistics, there are of course many cases where there is discrimination of women, not in my company, not in most of the company which I cross. I don't really feel there is discrimination. Reason why maybe there is less women at the top than men's is about ambitions, is about qualities, is about difference between men and women. I decide, frankly, don't know. But I don't think that there is a generalized barrier for women to succeed. And if your company has it, just change your company. So then the talents will go in another direction, and different company will succeed. Because if women has talent, and this talent is not recognized where she is, well, she should change company. And someone will be very happy to welcome these talents. So I think it's a little bit discussion in this part of the world about not much, because I don't really feel that there is a generalized
Okay, so I will give you an indication. In the Visegrad group, collectively, the Czech Republic, Hungary, Slovakia, and Poland have the lowest executive female leadership per capita than anywhere else in the world. So where we sit now, where we sit next door, where we sit in Hungary, where we sit in Poland, has the lowest level of female leadership. It's got nothing to do with quality. It's got nothing to do with intellect. And it has everything. And I'm sure all of the women who would like to sit in executive leadership positions have those ambitions. There's a lack of opportunity. But that's for a different discussion in a different conference at a different time. It's definitely an opinion I have. I want to ask the audience, do we have any questions in the audience? Or I'll revert back to the Slido. Anyone have any questions in the audience? Come on, we have a coffee break in 7 minutes. No questions? These are the two most interesting people, well, of the four that we've had, all four collectively the most interesting people that we've heard today. Okay, so we go then.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
If I would be a woman and I would be hired in a position because of a quota, I would be ashamed.
So you're going
Come on.
opposite of what Corneliu said.
Yeah, come on.
It's the opposite of what
If
Corneliu
someone hires me because they have to fulfill a number, not because they want me, I will not take the job. So I don't understand the quotas.
Alessandro, I hope you don't expand in South Africa. where
I might be a good example for South Africans if this is not the case, but we're not talking
and the absolute opposite of what Corneliu said. So going back to the board, what do you think will define strong leadership in the future, Corneliu? What do you think what is the DNA, the key characteristics of a strong leader of the future?
More empathy.
More empathy. And where does that come from? Would both of you regard yourself as empathetic leaders, or are you more authoritarian and more direct?
I believe of myself I'm an
empath.
Empath.
Alessandro?
I don't care if I'm empathic or not. I don't think I'm much. Technically speaking.
I think you've given away your answer there.
That doesn't mean that you need to be authoritarian. I mean, listen to the others and be able to recognize a good opinion different from yours and appreciate the ones who are able to contradict you, which is not so automatic. Has nothing to do with empathy, but has a lot to do with leadership. So I'm not here to be nice and to be sympathetic or to be buddies of the people that work for me or the people that deal with me. I'm here to be honest. I'm here to do my job seriously. I'm here to deliver what I'm supposed to deliver. If I'm also empathic, good. I'm not, so fine. But still, that's work. That's not fun having a beer with friends. So empathy might help someone, but is not the #1 characteristic for me.
Staying with you, Alessandro, there's a question specifically for you. You started very humbly, and we've heard from your tone, very humble, yet your children will inherit much larger business. What was your biggest success, planned, or does fortune favor the prepared or the brave?
Sorry, was it the question?
You started very humbly, yet your children will inherit a much larger business. What was your biggest success? Was it planned, or does fortune favor the brave, I think?
You know, once my father told me, I didn't know if you were more crazy or more genius, and he told, and now he told me that was one of the few compliments of my father. I start to believe you're more genius than crazy, and I told him, well, look, Daddy, you know what is the difference between a genius and a crazy man? It's just luck.
Yeah.
Because a genius with bad luck, everybody thinks is crazy. And a crazy man with luck, everybody thinks is a genius. So yes, luck is very important, but you need to be able to take the fortune when it comes. So that's not obvious.
Okay, so we've argued about lots of things, which I'm very happy about. It's always good to promote a nice, volatile and respectful conversation. What are the myths that you would like to dispel that people believe CEOs have? What do we immediately assume CEOs have that aren't true? What would you like to tell the audience? Number one, I ask both of you. And then the second question, if that you could start changing what the leadership landscape looks like for tomorrow, what does that look like? I'll start with you, Corneliu. What is the biggest misconceptions about CEOs?
The biggest misconception is that the CEO must have to be the
smartest man in the room.
Smartest man in the team, in the room, which is not right.
Alessandro?
I don't know what the people think about CEO. I was being in the family business. I never work for anybody. I just work for myself. So I'm sorry for reducing further my empathy. Yeah. But I don't know what people think about CEO, so I don't know what can be the misconception. Probably one thinks that you are privileged. You're not privileged. You work more than others. You are alone. As was said before, the solitude of success is the hardest things one of the hardest things to bear. I don't know what people expect to be CEO. I've always been, sorry.
Okay, but that's from your perspective. But when you also interact with other CEOs, correct? There are many CEOs over here who do things completely different to you, Alessandro. What things do you feel that they might, well, obviously you can't speak for someone else, but when you're in business circles, are there things that you like to take from other CEOs and think, maybe I'll incorporate that into my artillery? Or are they things that you think, nah, I'm okay without that? Well, there are a lot of these conferences about shared knowledge.
Maybe one truth about CEO that they have a big ego, because otherwise you can be that. I mean, you have to believe in yourself, right or wrong. So when you see the others, well, you always think you're better, right or wrong, most often wrong. So yes, you try to learn, but it's difficult because you think you do better. But you need that. Because if you don't believe in yourself, You don't move. You get paralyzed. So you have to believe in yourself. You make a lot of mistakes, fine, but you learn from those mistakes and you hopefully do something good. If the good things are more than mistake, you're probably successful. So
Do you think, Corneliu, ego is an important part or a negative part of leadership?
Definitely, it has to be balanced. So if you have to balance it, I mean, you need it, but you have to balance it. So the fact that you need to balance it, it means that, you know, you have to balance it. It's not a good part. You have to take care of your ego.
And on that note, I would like a massive round of applause to the most outspoken people, Alessandro Pasquale
thank you.
and Corneliu Bodea. Please.